Before you call yourself lazy, answer this honestly. What are you actually avoiding? Because if you were truly lazy, you wouldn't feel guilty. You wouldn't feel frustrated. You wouldn't feel that quiet pressure in your chest every time you think about starting. Lazy people don't care. You care. That's the problem. You care so much that the idea of trying and failing feels heavier than doing nothing at all. So you don't start. Not because you're weak, but because something about starting feels dangerous. And if that sounds dramatic, good. Because what you're avoiding isn't effort, it's what effort might reveal. Now let's talk about that. You're not avoiding the workout, you're avoiding seeing how out of shape you feel. You're not avoiding studying, you're avoiding confirming you might not understand. You're not avoiding posting, you're avoiding being judged. The task isn't the threat. The meaning attached to the task is. Every action carries a hidden question. If I try, what does the result say about me? And your brain hates questions that attack identity, because identity feels like survival. If something threatens who you believe you are or who you hope to be, your nervous system reacts like it's physical danger. That's why your body feels heavy. That's why you suddenly feel tired right when it's time to work. That's not coincidence. That's protection. Your brain would rather delay than collect evidence that hurts. Here's what usually happens. Before you even start, your brain runs a simulation. What if I fail? What if it's bad? What if people don't care? What if I'm not talented? And your mind doesn't just ask those questions, it answers them. It imagines the worst case. It imagines embarrassment. It imagines confirmation of your deepest insecurity. And your nervous system reacts as if that future already happened. So of course you scroll instead. Scrolling has no future consequence, no identity risk, no exposure. It's neutral, safe, predictable. Avoidance isn't laziness, it's emotional risk management. Now here's the dangerous part. You avoid once, then you judge yourself. You say, I'm so lazy. That label sticks. Next time you hesitate, your brain says, see, this is who we are, and identity solidifies through repetition. You don't wake up lazy. You become lazy in your own narrative. And once a narrative forms, your brain defends it. Even negative identities feel stable. Stable feels safe. Safe feels predictable. So you stay stuck not because you lack ability, but because your identity and your fear formed an alliance. This is why disciplined content only works temporarily. You can hype yourself up. You can promise, new me starts today. You can go hard for 3 days. But if the emotional threat underneath isn't addressed, the avoidance returns, because you're trying to override fear with aggression. Fear doesn't disappear when attacked. It gets quieter for a moment, then louder later. If effort feels like judgment, you'll subconsciously resist it. So what are you protecting? Maybe you're protecting the version of you that still believes you could be great. Because as long as you don't try fully, that potential stays intact. Untested potential feels safe. Tested potential can shrink. That's the real fear, not failure, exposure. Because once effort meets reality, you lose fantasy. And fantasy is comfortable. But here's the truth. Avoidance slowly hurts more than exposure ever could. Because every day you don't try, your self-trust decreases. And self-trust is more important than success. The solution isn't intensity, it's safety. Lower the emotional stakes. Instead of, this defines my future, say this is one small rep. Instead of, this proves who I am, say this is practice. You reduce meaning, not effort. When the brain feels safe, it moves. 5 minutes, not to win, not to finish, just to begin. When nothing catastrophic happens, your nervous system updates. Action didn't equal death. Action didn't equal humiliation. Action was neutral. That's how rewiring happens. Not dramatically, repeatedly. Self-trust isn't built by grand wins, it's built by tiny promises kept. Start small enough that resistance feels silly. 2 push-ups, 1 paragraph, 10 minutes. Consistency builds identity faster than intensity ever will. You don't need motivation, you need proof that you can move without collapsing. And proof is built through small action, not self-hate. If you keep labeling yourself lazy, you train your brain to expect inaction. Expectations shape behavior. But if you begin labeling yourself someone who starts small but consistently, your identity shifts. Identity drives behavior more than motivation. Right now, you're not lazy, you're cautious. You're protecting yourself from emotional risk. And protection is not weakness, it just needs recalibration. Because the real danger isn't failure, it's spending years avoiding the version of yourself you could have met. The next time you feel resistance, don't attack yourself immediately. Pause and ask, what am I protecting? What feels exposed here? What story am I afraid this will confirm? Awareness weakens avoidance. You don't need to become fearless. You just need to prove to your brain that trying doesn't erase you. It builds you. Not instantly, not perfectly, but gradually. You are not lazy, you are avoiding something, and the moment you understand what that is, you stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself. That's when movement becomes possible. Not because you forced it, but because you made it safe. And maybe the version of you that you've been avoiding isn't waiting to judge you. Maybe it's just waiting for you to try. Without fear, without labels, without proving anything, not to become someone new overnight, but to slowly return to the part of you that was never lazy to begin with. Just cautious, just human, and ready when it feels safe enough to move.